All right, man. Welcome back to the Universal Thought Podcast, man, where we share universal thoughts, ideas, concepts, philosophies, and we have all around great conversation with some great people. Y'all already know what it is, man. We got a repeat offender in the house. She ain't,
offender.
Yeah, you are a repeat offender. You know what I'm saying? She ain't, but she's not a guest no more, man. She's part of the Universal Thought Podcast family. I wanted to bring her out, man, because, this is closing out Mental Health Awareness Month, and she is one of the best, if not the best, in my opinion, psychotherapist or therapist, as you should say, in Memphis, right? Does yoga, she teaches yoga, she's a content creator, and of course she's a psychotherapist. So I want to introduce to you all Dr.NaRicia.
Yes, Futrell.
Futrell. How you doing today?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, I'm pretty good. All right, I'm good. So has it been a busy month for you?
It has. It's been we always pushing mental health, but this is our month, so to speak. So yeah, it's been pretty busy. Really?
Mm-hmm. We're gonna dive right into it, man. What can people when you say Mental Health Awareness Month, what do people need to be aware of when it comes to mental health?
I think the biggest thing that we want people to be aware of is that it's accessible. For the longest, people have not known, or they just didn't believe that mental health was accessible, particularly to people in minority communities, whether that is, you're a minority due to ethnicity or gender or sexual orientation. It is accessible, and we can be found in lots of places. Jump online and we can get all the things we want online, including mental health care.
Right. And you've been doing this how long?
A long time. We went through this before about you asking how long type questions.
I thought I was going to trip you up. She did not fall for it, man.
A very long time.
Very long time. Now listen, I got a list of questions for you.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of like I said before, I love the idea. I love how the mind works. Mm-hmm. I love trying to understand how people think. And I thought to myself, why didn't I go to school and become like a psychotherapist or a therapist or something like that in that field? So where I go to fill out the application at?
Well, first find a school that is accredited.
I can't just go fill out.
No, you can't go fill out an application. You're gonna have to go to school for a very long time.
I can't just go out their house. I can't.
No, even though people jumping online and doing it uncertified, you should not be doing that. No, you can't do that.
Gave up my little host, man. I'm thinking I can get online and do my thing. No. Speaking of going online and perpetrating, so all right, here's the thing. I don't like to downplay or talk bad about pretty much anybody. Mm-hmm. And it really didn't, to be honest with you, it really didn't mean a whole lot to me at first until I started seeing how important it was to people that actually go and get these type of services, and people like felt like they got screwed over. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So the Miss Cheyanne Bryant lady, mm-hmm. I'm gonna ask you, it's already wrong, I guess, that she's actually perpetrating or telling the public that she's a doctor. Mm-hmm. What's the overall, is it illegal to do this, or what's the big issue with this?
The illegalities of her situation is not necessarily about her perpetrating being a doctor. That, depending on who you ask, that's neither here nor there.
Right.
The issue that a lot of us as providers have had is the comments that she's made about licensure. Mm-hmm. Now, it is illegal in some states, including the state of California, where she resides, apparently, to state that you are a therapist when you are not.
Right.
Okay. But again, the biggest thing, I know people right now are up in arms about her doctoral or doctorate degree, but the rest of us are concerned about the statements that she made about licensure. Mm-hmm. When she went on someone's podcast, she made a statement basically saying that she relinquished her license and she no longer practices under her license because she can make more money doing so. She made other misleading statements. Those things are harmful.
Right.
Anyone who says that I would rather practice my field of study, that first, it requires a lot of work for us to get that. Mm-hmm. You do a lot to get it, you do a lot to maintain it. If you decide to retire it, that's fine. But going to the public and saying, I'm retiring it so that I can make more money and I don't need nor do I want some type of oversight, that's a red flag. The oversight that exists with licensure, with the boards, is not to protect us as to providers, it is to protect the public. And this country has had a history of exploitation, of abuse, and specifically in the mental health field.
Right.
So why would you not want to make sure that you are having an oversight that is protecting the people that you're providing services for? And not only that, what a lot of people don't know is, in order for me to continue to uphold my license, I have to have continuing education units. I don't just get to go to school, get an application, and become a therapist.
Oh, okay.
You know, I have to go to school, I have to do hours, I have to take a test, and then every couple of years, I have to continue those educational units to state that I continue to be an expert and learn in my field. Not that I know everything and I'm done. But when you decide I'm not going to use my license because I don't want the oversight, what exactly are you saying? We can't know everything, all things, all the time. Stuff is changing all the time about human behavior, and we need to know that. And I don't want to belabor it, but then there's also the issue of what each state requires.
Right.
You know, as somebody who's licensed in multiple states, there are things that I had to learn about Texas and I have to be cognizant of that I don't have to be cognizant of in Tennessee. So if I'm treating people and I'm saying that I'm coaching and I'm doing this in multiple states, but I don't know enough about those states, enough about the people in those regions, I just think I know human behavior, I'm not being as effective as I should be.
Right. Wow. So, have you practiced in any other state other than Memphis?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And it was different.
Yes, I practiced in Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas, and Mississippi. So, like, one of the differences with Arkansas is I have a lot of individuals who are in the LGBTQ population there, and they don't have a lot of therapists who are LGBTQ plus affirming. So that specialized population, they require a different focus. One of the trainings for Texas is human trafficking. I had to learn a lot about that and the law as well in order to practice there. Tennessee requires us to have continuing education units about certain laws in Tennessee. So it's not just, being
good at what you do.
And knowing about narcissism, and that's great. But what do you know about the people in those areas and how to effectively treat them based on the cultural context from which they're coming from?
Right. So, let me tell you what the red flag was for me, because she just popped up out of nowhere. And I seen her going on podcasts, and when she went on the Cam Newton podcast, I'm go ahead and say it was on the Cam Newton podcast, and when she was talking, I was like, damn, she sounded like she knows what she's talking about. And then he started asking her questions, and when she got to talking about her relationships and all her past situations, she sounded like a patient. She sounded like the very person she's diagnosing. And I was like, nah. And I caught that right off the back. I'm like, you need to be sitting in somebody's chair.
Too much self-disclosure.
Right.
Which, if you were a licensed provider and you continue your education, they teach you where the line has to end with that. Because she could have answered, I didn't see their interview, so I can't, be as knowledgeable about it as possible. But if he asked her a personal question, she could have answered the personal question, but you keep it only so far, because we only give what is important enough for the person asking, not for our own services.
Oh, she going crazy. She talking about what she do in the bed. She talking about, she just going, it's like, just like the lady. Yeah. Like one of her patients, she went online and she just went viral because she was talking about, hiring Cheyanne Bryant, and she was like, it sounded like she was talking to a homegirl.
I did see hers.
Yeah.
I saw her video. I did.
So how did you feel when you got, you started getting the wind of all the stuff that, she was doing?
I honestly did not get wind until she went on, it wasn't Cam Newton's, it was Joe Budden. I don't know what the name of the podcast is. But I saw that, and that was problematic. Like the other stuff that she does, some things, we try to encourage our clients to not let things inflame us that we have no control about, right? She was doing whatever she was doing, and people were eating it up for whatever reason she was eating it up. Right. But when you start making comments that can be demeaning to our profession and harmful to our clients, now, you know, the rest of us are like, hold on a second, this is too much. And on top of that, you're doing it at a time where we are fighting to make sure that we can continue to provide services, and you're watering down the profession, and you're doing it as a black person, and you're doing it as a black woman, and that is just too much.
Right, wow. Now, I was researching and trying to figure out what's the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath, and she damn near fit every criteria for a psychopath. And most people think that like psychopaths, like they killers and all. No, it's just a behavior, right? When you're evaluating somebody, or when when you're trying to figure out what lane a person like falls in, what's the main thing that like comes out? Like what's the main thing you see that says, oh, okay, I see. Yeah. I see what's going on with them.
It's a combination of things. A lot has to do with a person's behavior and their presentation. Right. Even like with her, I wouldn't diagnose, someone by just looking at them and what their presentation is in a social aspect, because what somebody presents as socially is very different in an intimate aspect. Those are assessments that we have to do that will help break down not only a person's behavioral patterns, but the way that they think, because people especially if it's a personality disorder, they're going to attempt to present a certain way that doesn't look the same as when they're filling the documentation out, and when it's several documents, and when I ask you something on June the 1st and what it looks like when we talk about it again on July 15th. Right. That's why, people are going around and they're looking at these different things, or they're in these relationships and you're diagnosing people because you have access to something. That's not all that it would take to diagnose. Right. So, I can't just sit in front of somebody. Now, I've seen people on television in high leadership positions, and I'm like, ooh, them some strong tendencies there. Right. Those are some strong features, right? And truth be told, a lot of those tendencies and features are in all of us, but what makes it problematic is when it causes disruption in either that person's life or the persons around them, the lives of the people around them.
And so she's, by her saying she's a life coach with no license, she can do that, right?
She can, because here's the thing about life coaching. Most of us as therapists respect what life coaches do, right? Because you provide a specialized service that we don't provide. A life coach, though, does not have to have any licensure, which means that they don't have any oversight. And what we typically find with a lot of life coaches who don't take the initiative to continue to educate themselves is that they have poor boundaries with their clients. And that is what you saw with that young lady who talked about the relationship, the professional relationship that she had with Dr. Bryant. The boundaries were extremely poor. Because there is a difference. I mean, you might have someone who goes to see a therapist and say, oh, sometimes I feel like I'm talking to my homegirl. Right. Because some of my clients may feel the same way. We're not going to sit there. I'm not the type of therapist and we're sitting and it's very clinical speech. I'm talking to you from where you come. We're going to talk the way you talk. And sometimes it feels very comfortable, but the boundary is the boundary. Sessions start at a certain time. They end at a certain time. I don't answer, after certain periods. I don't engage with you on social media because we are not friends, But with life coaching, those lines can get very blurred because those boundaries are not as stiff as they are with therapists. But they're stiff that way with us because we have ethics that we have to succeed to. Right. So it's not that, life coaching is great. And I have a coach that works in my practice. She's a grief coach. But the reason why I hired her is because not only does she have the lived experience, but this woman takes it upon herself to stay educated in what it means to work within someone who's working through their grief. She's not solely working from her experience and her subjective thoughts and opinions.
Exactly. And I see a lot of times she'll refer to like, she always talk about how many degrees she has, and then she'll talk about her looks. And then, you know, it's about like money. It's never about like patience. It's never, it doesn't seem like a genuine care to actually help people. And then when they said, well, she's actually, she's branding doctor. Like she got a chain that says doctor. So she's branding it to overcompensate for the lack of licenses she has.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Or, you know, like she said, she stated that she retired her license and is no longer practicing under her license because she can make more money, and that is misleading.
$300 some a session,
which means you're doing what? You know, because now we should probably be paid that much,
right?
But there is there's workaround pricing and what happens. So you could still practice, but this is the problem with the statement. You could still charge out-of-pocket rates and practice under your license, which means that you would still have someone who is ethically monitoring you, and you still have the responsibility of continued education. The only reason then you are surrendering your license is because you don't want someone watching over you, because they don't tell us what we can and can't charge. Now they will tell us it makes no sense or it's unethical if I charge you $150, but I charge this man over here $500 because I know that he makes more. That's unethical. The fee for service should be the fee for service. You relinquishing your license and saying you're doing it because you can charge more doesn't even sound ethical.
Right. Wow. And she's doubling down on it. It's like, well, y'all can kiss my ass and this and that. I'm like, man, this lady here crazy. Yeah. What some therapists like know about people like that would shock most listeners?
That a lot of people will come to therapy and they won't do the work. A lot of it has become trendy. So people will go to therapy to go back and tell people, well, I'm in therapy, but they're not doing any of the work. Or, you know, people will come to therapy and sometimes they will lie to us. And, you know, we'll either catch it or they'll eventually tell us. And some people have different reasons for why they do it. But it makes the work that much harder or that much longer. But those are surprising things, because why would you pay somebody to go and lie to them?
Go and lie to them. Why
would you pay to say that you're going to therapy only to not use, you know, the tools that you're supposed to be using? That one is a little bit more complicated though, because therapy is not as easy as people think it is. I'm asking you to do something or to consider things that feels completely unnatural to you. If you're 30 plus years old and you've been living life the same way for 30 plus years, you are not going to make a change like that overnight and it be permanent and feel comfortable to you. I'm asking you to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Right. Do some people like think it's gonna be overnight? Do they really think?
Yes.
Really?
They
like
do.
Fix me now.
Yes, fix me is the words that is used, and I'm like, you're not broken. I'm not here to fix you.
I just heard that. You're not broken.
You're not broken.
Right. Okay.
You're not broken. We all have parts of us that could use some fine tuning, some polishing, some reshaping, but you are not broken.
What does broken look like? Or is it a such thing?
I don't even think that there is a such thing. I think that there is an image of what people think it looks like. You know, when you feel as though you have nowhere to turn, or you feel helpless, or you feel hopeless, or you feel like there aren't any other options, you may feel broken. We can feel broken down from relationships, from jobs, from just living life, but you're not broken. You know, for us, the terminology of broken would mean that there's something defective about you and there's a possibility that you can't be fixed. And then if I can't fix you, what's the problem? If you can't fix yourself, what's the problem? No, there's just some things that need to be worked around here, polished, fine-tuned, molded differently. reshaped, retrained.
And if they don't have a mental issue and still can't be fixed, then what can it be? Not fixed, but
tuned.
Yeah.
Well, we all got a mental issue.
Okay.
Right. Given the state of the world and the things that are constantly pushed on us, we all have some sort of mental process that has been shaped in a way that can cause us some problems, right? It ranges in severity for people. If a person has not changed, then we have to ask, is this person unwilling or unable?
Right.
You know, and if I meet someone and the issue is not a willingness issue, the issue is that they are unable, then it's up to me to help you figure out, why do you feel unable to do this? And in what ways can you be able? I may think, you know, and that's the difference between going to a therapist and go talk to your friend. It's not up to me to say that this is what you need to do.
Right.
It's up to me to say, okay, given the information that you've given me, these are different ways that we can approach this. And you help me understand why this can't work, why this can, or are there pieces from this that can work and pieces from that, and we put a whole new plan together for you. But sometimes things don't work because people don't have the resources. They don't have the access to things. You might find a lot of therapists who work with children or therapists who work with people who are in abusive situations. I can't move. I can't run away. I can't leave. So I'm having to help you work within the system in which you're sitting in. I have to teach you to be safe before I can teach you how to thrive.
So what's the saddest thing that you've seen in people regularly? Like,
that's a tough one too, because I used to work with sex offenders, and I used to think that those were the saddest things that I've seen. Listening to what has happened to some of those victims, or even having to be present with victim work. For me, the saddest thing had been working with children, which is why I don't work with children anymore. It's not my specialty, it's not my gift, because I get too emotionally attached to the children and the sometimes helpless situations that they're in, and the parents will not take accountability for how their behavior is affecting their child. They want someone to fix their child that they continue to add broken pieces to. So yeah.
Can you even, and I know you say you stay away from that, but can you even like really deal with and try to help a child without the parent being involved?
That is extremely difficult, because you're asking someone who has no power to make powerful decisions or to try to manage an environment in which they have no control. So, think of it this way. If I'm working with a kid and the kid is exhibiting behaviors, the behaviors that they are exhibiting seem like anger problems. Well, I'm working with this kid, and this child doesn't have the vocabulary, the emotional maturity to say, well, I'm hurting, I'm sad, I'm anxious, and this is why I do that. So then I put into practice, okay, here, these are the words, this is what it looks like, this is what it feels like in your body. And when you feel these things, these are some things that you could do. Maybe you say to your parent, I'm feeling really overstimulated, can we please stop the discussion? But the parent never wants to come into the room. And I'm telling the child this might be an option, but I'm saying this to a child who has a parent who has no emotional intelligence. And so the minute you try to tell your parent, I'm feeling overstimulated, can I have a break? They take it as disrespect, and they go upside your head, and then they asking me, why is my child aggressive and violent? Because you are. You hit them when you're upset, and you don't understand why they hit and tear up things when they're upset. So those types of situations, or even allowing or promoting sexual behavior with some of our youth. A lot of our parents play a part in that. So it's a lot. I am, hands down, bow down to therapists who can work with children. I did it for a long time, but a couple years ago I was like, oh no, I can't, you know.
Now, and I know you say you've been doing it a long time. Have you been doing it? Did you do it before social media existed?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
And it's a difference.
Yes. I wouldn't say existed because now you pushing it. Okay. Social media existed, whether or not I was active in social media.
What I meant was, yeah, that's what I meant. That's exactly what I meant.
Before social media was the biggest thing.
She don't miss nothing.
No, I ain't missing that. I'm not that old.
I think I got on Facebook in like 2010. When it was like still like the little college situation.
I don't think I was even on Facebook in 2010.
Really?
When it first came out, I was not on it. I was resistant. I was very resistant.
You were trying not to get on it.
I was like, what's the point of that?
So you weren't on no social media?
Not then. Not when Facebook was out. I had a Black Planet page.
You had MySpace?
Did I have a MySpace?
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Decorated? Yeah.
I did. I had it for like a year because I connected with an old friend, my best friend from 6th grade. I found her on MySpace.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I had that. I had Black Planet, and then when Facebook came out, I was like, and I think at that time MySpace and everything was shutting down or was done.
Yep.
I was like, I don't want to do the social media thing, but you know.
Yeah.
This is the way of the world, including for businesses. You can't not have a social media presence.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking about this the other day, how things were. Lately I've been going to like a nostalgia state of mind. I always think about all the old stuff and just like, man, I just want to get away from this reality we live in right now.
Are you getting old?
Huh? Say what?
I said, are you getting old?
I knew I thought that's what you said. I guess it feel like when you see this many changes with the world, it feel like you've been alive forever because you're seeing so many eras.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about the things we didn't have to deal with, we didn't see. It just like certain things we didn't even experience until we was like, in our mid-teens. Mm-hmm. But these kids are coming out of the womb with access to porn,
everything.
Yeah. Rap. Our music back in the day, edited. We didn't even. I wasn't old enough to go to the store and buy a tape, so I listened to the edited version on, you know what I'm saying? So what does your practice or how does your approach change based on what they go through now? Well, you don't deal with children, but what's the youngest you deal with?
18.
Damn, that's still a child.
Yeah, it's still pretty much as a child, but I want, at 18, they have a little bit more leverage in what they are legally allowed to do. Even though in the state of Tennessee, at the age of 16, you have rights for your mental health that you don't have to have your parents' involvement. But if you're living in your parents' home, then Right. But most of my 18-year-olds that I've had, they've either been in pretty well-adjusted homes, right, who would at least be mindful of what it is that they're doing, right, and would support them, or they're off in college or doing their own thing. But even my 18-year-olds, even some of my older individuals, things have had to change because of the way the world is. It's mm-hmm. not just, a kid thing. I've worked with addicts for a long time, and I remember when the show Intervention on A&E came out, mm-hmm. and that had to change the way addiction worked in practice, because for the longest, addiction is, know your people, places, and things, mm-hmm. which is a lot of avoidance tactics, right? Okay. But if I can turn on my television and I'm minding my business and I see somebody shooting up, mm-hmm. now we have to do a little bit of a deeper or different approach with that. If we got a lot of people who have a lot of addictive patterns, and sex addiction is a bigger thing than what people believe it is. Right. Well, you log on to Facebook and you scrolling and minding your business, and somebody's twat is right there. You didn't ask to see that. Right. And so now you triggered, and so it doesn't really matter, of the age range, because of social media and the things that we are, that we're being inundated with into our consciousness that we're not asking for. Therapy has had to change because of that in general. Mm.
Wow. And you another thing that I notice about these young people is how emotionally crazy they are. Like they're just emotional as hell.
Everybody is much more
fighting at the graduation.
Impulsive.
Impulsive.
You know, very, very emotionally triggered. But I think a lot of that again is a lack of emotional intelligence, and a lot of it is I don't think we understand the impact that instant gratification has on us in all areas of our lives. Mm-hmm. You know, if I don't feel good about myself and I can jump online and post something and then all of a sudden I get this dopamine hit, mm-hmm. I'm setting the stage for my emotions to need to be fixed immediately in most areas. So if I have issues with anger and I've been setting the stage to get that dopamine hit, I've been setting the stage for the sexual excitement that I need, you can't differentiate and be like, well, with anger, I'm gonna just be chill.
Right.
It doesn't normally work that way.
Right.
So now, you know, people get irritated, you get frustrated, you get overstimulated, you get overwhelmed, you get anxious. These are all emotions that can be tied to anger, but we feel anger swiftly and we're much more comfortable with it now. So you see people fighting. Mm-hmm. You see, you know, an immediate reaction to anger because people don't understand that anger is secondary. And if you slow down and tap into that primary emotion, you can deal with that a little differently.
Man, I did a little experiment with myself because I remember you saying that, and then I started seeing it more after. Anger is a secondary emotion. So it's like, what led to anger? Were you offended? Were you embarrassed? I was like, wow, this. So it's easy to manage it, you know, when you know what the primary emotion is. Mm-hmm. It's much easier. Yeah. What's one of the things that like people are, I guess, get more offended if they hear that about themselves? Like what's something that they take to offense, or they just don't like to hear that about themselves?
That a lot of people don't like to hear about themselves. That you are wrong.
Right.
Yeah. Nobody wants to hear that they are wrong. And we can all be wrong. Maybe there's a way that it can be said, you know, when I'm in therapy with someone, unless this is a situation where there has to be a strong clinical confrontation, I'm not telling anybody you're wrong.
Right,
you know,
right.
I may say to them, well, what if we thought about that another way? Mm-hmm. You know, what if we considered what this other person was saying or thinking, or I don't know if I see it the same way you do. Can you tell me a little bit more about what all happened in that aspect? I might even ask someone, you know, especially if I'm working with couples, hey, actually switch seats and talk to me from that perspective, because maybe you are seeing it in a way that might not be completely correct, and it's not wrong, but it might not be completely correct because it's too subjective and you're not able to see it from a factual base. But nobody wants to be told that they're wrong.
You sure right.
I don't like it either, but you know.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me why I'm wrong, so I can figure it out.
Yeah. Listen, that I gotta agree with you on that one. Nobody likes to hear when they're wrong, but when if you're talking to somebody and you're trying to help them, how do you tell that person you're wrong? Well, let me ask you this first. Mm-hmm. Do you counsel or do you help couples?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have them to, like, when you said switch roles, do you have one person to act like the other person? Do they actual role switch?
I ask them to tell me how your partner sees it.
Okay, but they don't act it out.
No.
Does that work? Do you think that'll
help? I have seen people try that.
Yeah.
And unless you're already dealing with a couple who's been in practice for a while, who's been in therapy for a while, or they're comfortable enough to not be in a sensitive space with their partner, they're acting like the other partner turns into taking jabs, turns into being offensive. So, you know, I'm not completely against it, but it takes a couple who's really in a good space to be able to do that. And so then that means that you have to be a provider or a therapist who knows the people that you're working with, which, you know, that again just takes me back to the top of our conversation. That's something else that you learn when you continue to do the work and you continue to do the studying with the work. What may work for this couple doesn't work for everyone else. You have to have clinical skills that you gain that teach you about the therapeutic milieu and what you're doing with people.
Right.
But no, I playing the role. I've only had 2 couples, and I'm doing this a long time. 2 couples that I'm like, you know what? Yes, we can do this, and they did it, and they did it just fine. The rest of them, no.
Oh, it.
No, I don't need nobody tussling up in my office.
I know that's right.
No.
So do you use a strategy, and at some point you like, okay, that doesn't work, let me scratch that, or do you continue to use it?
No, if it's not working, I need to stop. I need to pull back, and I can say to them, hey, the approach that we were taking, this doesn't seem like it's effective for you all. Let's reroute, because I may have looked at the information that they have given me on the front end, and that was the approach that was needed based on what they gave me then. And then new variables come into play, new incidents occur, new information comes forward. Something else that I do with couples after I've worked with them for 2 or 3 sessions, I have an individual one-on-one, because sometimes things come differently from that. And that may have to change the course of things. We have couples, I might work with them for a while, and they're doing really, really good. And then a life circumstance happens, like an in-law has to move in, or a illness comes up. It changes the trajectory of what we've been working on, because we've been focused on this, and now we have a new life-changing event that can change how this partnership interacts.
Yeah. The one you said about that's the one I don't like. We actually made like we made a agreement that we wouldn't let any relatives stay with us.
It's hard.
Unless it's our mama or something like that.
Yeah.
And we had some situation where they asked and like, nah,
Yeah.
Because I already know the outcome. I know what's gonna happen. And then I know my folks, and she know hers too. So, and I ain't dealing with her folks. I'm gonna cut that part out. Cut that part out. Man. So how much? So even if a person thinks they're over their childhood trauma, do you think childhood trauma can still affect an adult, even if they think they over it?
Absolutely, because the term "over it" is where I'm rooted. We're not. If we consider ourselves as a book, yes, you've moved past this chapter in the book of your life, but this still is a chapter in the book of your life. It's like watching a movie, like reading a book. Those first chapters have built a foundation for the character, right? So if we act like it never happened and we just get over it, then are you a totally different person? We're not. It has changed the way you think. It has changed the way you feel, which means it has changed your behavior. Now that you know that you are aware of it and how it has made changes for you, that means you usually have to continue to do the work for the rest of your life to be different than whatever this thing was that impacted you in a negative way. So for instance, if you're dealing with an adult who has childhood sexual trauma, which a lot of black women do, you're going to be very hard pressed to find, I say women in general, but I know for sure a lot of black women's first sexual experiences are childhood sexual experiences. And so you spend your early years exhibiting behaviors based on that, and then you spend your early adulthood years unlearning some of that, and then you go to therapy and you learn something completely different that should be a healthier approach to intimacy in general, which can include sexual intimacy but could also include 4 other facets. That still is a stepping stone that got you there. So you have to make sure that you don't allow certain things that's going on around you or within you to take you back to what you worked to get away from. That's kind of what people, I think, they let go of that. It's like you have learned some type of skill and you think that it was a cure-all medication, and once I'm done taking it, I'm done. What you learn in therapy is a lifelong practice. You are learning to manage your life differently, which means that whatever got you there, you have to learn how to manage that so that it doesn't come back up. It didn't disappear, it still happened to you.
So with that being said, so again, I always kind of take inventory, and I look at I always look at like, am I this or am I the opposite? You know, am I calm or am I numb? And I think at some point in my life, I started, I think I kind of got numb, you know, because I was trying to see, am I getting better with this? Okay, cool. No, I think it's numbness, because it's like, I have a big heart, and it's hard for people that care to like, you know, walk away from certain things. But if you numb and you take away the feelings, then I'm just detached at that point. It's easier.
Yeah, yeah.
How can a person that's emotionally detached, I'm not like that now, but how can a person that's emotionally detached gain attachment again? Like, is that even possible? Once you detach, are you?
No, you can do it again, but it's not going to be easy work, because think about it. Why did you make the change, or what happened for you to become numb or emotionally detached? You were trying to protect yourself. Right? And so now, if you come into therapy, I'm asking you to be vulnerable, which means that I'm asking you to allow someone to hurt you. That don't even sound comfortable. So you have to, you know, like I stated earlier, you would have to be working to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. You would have to learn to work within the logical explanation that if you care about people, they are going to hurt you, even if it's unintentional. Because if you didn't care about them, then they couldn't hurt you.
So say that again. You said if I'm asking you to be vulnerable, I'm asking for you to be hurt. Damn, that's cold.
Aren't you?
Basically, yeah. When you think about it, yeah.
If I'm saying that I'm willing to be vulnerable, I'm willing to allow myself to be put in a position where you could hurt me.
So how do you know? How do you know who to trust when somebody's actually asking you, "Hey, you can be vulnerable with me"? Like
a lot of our trust issues is because we see what we want to see and not seeing what things actually are. And I'm not somebody who is exempt from that.
Right.
I have had to work on that myself. Like I see people through the lens of myself. So I have had to be like, okay, girl, take them pretty glasses off and be like, no, this is who this person is. And if they will do this to these people, then they will also do it to you.
Right.
So then that's where I need to know where my trust is. I don't need to put my level of morals and values and rules and boundaries and place them on other people and think that that's what they're going to do. So you have to, that thing about trusting people to be people, you trust them to be people. But what type of person is it? What have you observed them to be with your emotions pulled back?
And if I see you mismanaging yourself and you asking me to be vulnerable, see that's, and I'm not quick to like I just don't like I don't give people really no like personal side of me. I got to because I know that's a part of my life that really kind of changed me in a sense. I was just so open and vulnerable, and I never think anybody will hurt you this bad. Like, dang, you did this.
Yeah.
That's pain.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. And it's not a pain that you can, you can't put a Band-Aid on it. You can't take a Tylenol. You can't drink it away. You got to work that thing out or sit in it until it doesn't feel as painful. And that's another thing. People want it to just go away. And I understand that. But it's not about making your emotions go away. It's about learning how to manage them.
Right. Makes sense. Okay. All right. Well, you like games?
Maybe.
Okay.
Could we kind of get
too bad. About to play a game. We got 2 games. First game we're gonna play. All right. So we're gonna do red flag or green flag.
Okay.
You just let me know whether it's a red flag or a green flag.
I do know a little bit about red flags.
Really? Wow.
Shameless plug.
Man, listen, I'm cold. Is it your book?
That is my book.
Well, let's talk about
this. Is my book. Yes. You didn't know I wrote a book?
Maybe I didn't. No, not recently. When did it come out?
He's not doing his journalistic history.
My bad.
You are fine. When did my book come out? A year ago?
Oh, it came out a year ago.
A year ago too. You ain't been that long. A year or 2.
Did it come out after we did the first interview? Because it's been a year.
Yes.
Because you would have brought it then.
Yes.
Okay, so after.
Yes.
Damn, congratulations. So what is it about?
Thank you.
What is the book?
My book is called Red Flag Diaries, True Story Accounts and Then Some. I do give a warning. This is not written in the typical book format. The beginning of, and it's not completely self-helpy, because I know I should like self-help books because I'm a therapist, but I don't like self-help books.
Why not?
It don't do nothing for me. Maybe because it's information that I'm familiar with,
right,
and that I'm working within all day long. I like to read about serial killers and stuff.
Crazy.
So, but anywho.
Man.
But my book, the beginning of the book does have some self-helpy information. The first part is about attachment styles. So it talks to you about,
we're talking about your book?
Yes, my book. About what attachment styles are, how they're formed, what they can look like for us. And then the meat of the book, where we talk about true story accounts and then some, is a dialogue. So I had lots of individuals to submit information, just submit stories where they have been in red flag situations, whether it's been dating relationships or family relationships or co-worker or work environments. So you would submit something, I would give you feedback by asking questions, and you would answer those questions, and then I would give a therapeutic response. And then the end of the book rounds it out with the 5 facets of intimacy. So learning how to be intimate with yourself on each level before you create intimacy with another person. So Red Flag Diaries, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Okay, you didn't bring an extra copy with you.
I do have an extra copy. You would like to read it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a book person. I love
Please read it, and if you love it, send a review. If you don't like it, keep it to yourself.
Hey, listen, we no negative comments on this one. You know what I'm saying? And is there you said on Amazon, right?
Yes, it's on Amazon.
Red Flag Diaries.
Red Flag Diaries. Make sure you type in my name, Dr.NaRicia, NARICIA, Futrell, FUTRELL, because there's lots of content, books and all kinds of things that have red flags in them, as well as red flags and diaries. So make sure you include my name so you can find it.
Now, people, before we get into the game, I want to ask you this. People talk about red flags a lot, but people don't talk enough about green flags.
They don't.
What are a few green flags that a person, if you see that, hey, that's a green flag?
Someone who can be patient, someone who has discipline within their own lives, because we like to tell other people what they should and shouldn't be doing, and it's hard for us to practice our own discipline. I think just someone who can be open-minded. Those are green flag people. People who can be kind, even when it's difficult to be kind. Those can be green flag people. People who have boundaries, whether it makes you comfortable or not. Those are green flags.
Right. Man, that's crazy. So it's almost like everything that you just called out, people that have probably the most red flags would consider those red flags. Like, well, why I can't? Because I have boundaries.
Yeah.
I'll put our business out there, but I have to tell people this. Like, you got to. We can't override each other's boundaries just because we're close friends, cousins, relationships.
Those are the ones those are the people who we should be respecting the boundaries the most, because you're the ones that are closest to me. I would hope that a stranger would, respect certain boundaries, but we don't even know each other. So how do you know my boundaries and I know yours? But if we have some type of relationship, I expect you to respect my boundaries, and I need to respect yours. If I can't, I need to step away.
There you go. Exactly. Okay. All right. Red flag or green flag? Someone who says, I don't argue, I just leave. That's
probably a red flag.
It's probably a red flag?
It probably is.
It could be a green flag?
It could be a red flag, because, and here I go getting a little technical, right? Everybody has arguments and disagreements. You can't run and leave all the time. So to me, that sounds like somebody who stonewalls a lot. Yes, we can take a time out. That's an effective conflict resolution skill, effective thing to use in a disagreement or argument. But why do you think you're gonna be in a relationship with somebody or have some type of relationship with them and never have a disagreement or argument?
Most people think that, though.
That is I almost said insane. That's not a good word for a therapist to use. That's wild.
That's wild.
That's wild. If you and your person agree all the time, somebody's masking. There's some codependency going on there. Right?
Yeah.
Now we can have an argument and I'll be like, I need a timeout. This is escalating. We're yelling. We're name calling. I'm feeling too emotional, so I can't think clearly. I need to process. That's different.
Right.
But every time you got something to say to me and I make it an argument, so I'm done talking to you, I'm stonewalling you and I'm emotionally manipulating the situation.
But okay. So what if because I classify arguing as somebody just got to be right in this situation, right? Just like you said, name calling and stuff like that. That's why I don't like to argue, because I don't like to apologize for something I didn't mean. Everything else I mean.
Okay.
But you make me mad. Now I'm finna say something I don't mean, and I gotta take it back, and I don't like doing it.
Okay.
Right. So it's like that's an argument to me.
The differentiation you're making then is, what's the difference between an argument and a disagreement / conflict? So if we're saying that an argument is something that has to include aggression, then absolutely that's a green flag. We need to walk away.
Right.
But I wouldn't necessarily think that an argument also has to include aggression. It doesn't necessarily have to include, a raised voice or yelling. Now, my emotions could be heightened.
But people are emotionally attached to what they feel, what they think at that time.
You are emotionally attached, but do you have to be so emotionally attached that the emotions that you're feeling are severe?
If the person ain't agreeing with you, yeah.
Why?
I ain't saying me. I'm speaking from different perspectives.
Why does two people disagreeing mean that my emotion has to go from a 5 to a 10?
That's my question to you. Listen, everything he's saying, I be wanting to know. Why does, because I know, I know I feel some type of way about this. Your intent ain't to hurt me. I know this. Your intent is not to, embarrass me or call me out or just, make me feel bad about how I feel. But sometimes it's hard to listen when the person that you're talking to don't have the right words to say. I'm not. I can listen with a logical ear.
Yeah.
But sometimes emotions get involved, and then you say, now you finna speak out of your emotions, and now you finna trigger me somewhere because now you're getting angry. I'm trying to stop. Hold on.
Yeah.
Right. So,
so stepping away in that sense, yes. But every time those qualifying words, then what are we talking about? How is there an every time? How do we even get to that? Right. But if you're having a disagreement with someone and the level of description that you're giving, you should be able to say to this person, hey, I see you escalating and I'm escalating. Time out. Can I have a time out? When people don't allow that to happen, then now you the red flag double 2 times. Because I'm telling you that we're not in a good space to have any rationality here. And I'm not saying that in disagreements that emotions are completely removed, but we're not lowering the emotions enough to add rational content to it.
Gotcha,
but how can you? If I have now risen to a level 10, no, I'm not trying to hear nothing you talking about.
Right.
Because I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm frustrated. I got all the feels and I'm foggy. And you keep talking and I want you to shut up. Right. And so let's just both shut up.
Both ain't gonna shut up all the time. Somebody finna say something. And another thing. Okay.
Red flag. Man, another thing, red flag.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think I'm still trying to I do it, and I tell her this all the time. I don't like when somebody's screaming in the house, because my mom used to scream. She used to scream. And when I hear that, it does something to me. Hey, I need y'all to chill out, for real.
Yeah.
Especially a woman screaming. It just kind of does something to me.
Yeah.
But, so don't let your emotions. But after you said something first, that primary emotion, is if you keep hitting on that first one, then it's going to automatically go to anger.
And I think I said this in the last one, and I want to make sure I say it again. I'm never saying that you're not supposed to be angry. Anger is a natural human emotion, but you manage it by understanding what the primary emotion is. And you can be angry and still have your primary emotion. I am angry because you disappointed me. Right. I'm angry because you hurt my feelings. But when we're just angry and you don't know what that first thing is and you just going off of anger, then that's when it becomes, retribution. That's when there's explosion. That's when I got to get you before you get me. That's when I'm hurting myself with excessive behaviors because I'm trying to calm myself down versus dealing with how I'm feeling.
Gotcha. Makes sense. All righty. A person who has red flag or green flag. A person who has no close friends.
Yellow?
That is not one of the choices, ma'am.
That's a red flag.
Green or red?
That's a red flag. That's a red flag.
That's a red flag too? Listen, I don't want to, I'm trying not to spend too much time on it, but I got to hear why that's a red flag.
You mean to tell me of all the billions of people that's roaming this earth, it ain't one somebody that you feel like, you at least a little bit closer than everybody else?
Right.
What's going on within you that where's the issue with the vulnerability? What fear do you have about allowing people to be close to you? What you hiding? Who you hiding from? Is you on the run and we don't know? What is happening? There are billions of people on this earth, and the number of people that most of us come in contact with just living our everyday consistent lives, nobody? Not one person?
Right.
Not a family member? Because sometimes our closest friends can be a family member. Nobody? I got lots of questions.
Lots of questions.
Yeah.
But what if, and I'm just really playing devil's advocate, right? Because I know somebody probably will see some things from another side. Just like you just said, you said nobody, right? So there's some people that be like, did nobody come to my graduation? Did nobody come, to see me get baptized? Ain't nobody ever there. So now they don't, and then they see what a real friend is. When they get into a situation where they need help, right? Outside of just having fun, when I needed help, nobody was there. So y'all my real friends. So it's like, is that still considered a red flag if they're just trying to protect themselves based on their experiences?
Well, if in a situation like that, which I have seen before, then I ask them, let's talk about what your picker looks like.
Your picker.
Right? We think about what your picker looks like in relationships, in dating relationships, but some of us have bad pickers in friends.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Like you can't help family. The only reason that we family with people is because somebody had sex and they didn't have an abortion. You can't help that, right? But what has happened with the type of people that you feel like you might have attached yourself to and they let you down? And you keep picking the same type of people. And even if we use a graduation example, you go to school, by the time you graduate, whether it's primary school or secondary, at least 4 to 5 years. There was nobody that you felt close enough to, even somebody in your graduating class that you didn't feel like, we're closer than them. I'm not saying that you're saying that this person is a friend,
right? But
nobody. Now, I will tell you this, a lot of times in situations like that come up in therapy, I ask, what happened that nobody was there?
You have had people that ain't got no friends?
They don't have people that show up for them, and they're disappointed and they're hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, how did this come to be? Sometimes it is a family issue and the family nucleus is just a mess. Sometimes you have pushed people so far away that they don't show up. And when you expect them to show up just because it's what people are supposed to do,
right,
you're disappointed when they don't. Prime example, the strong friend or the strong person who never allows anybody to help them, and they got everything taken care of. And then when you really need somebody and nobody steps up, well, you've taught your circle, I don't need anybody checking on me or doing anything.
Right.
So they're reacting off of how you've trained them to be. You never told them, hey, it's not okay that you don't call and check on me. It's not okay that when I have something important going on that I don't see your face out there. That's important to me.
Right.
Whether I ask for it or not, I'm telling you now that it's important to me. We live off expectations instead of communicating.
And that's a principle. That's a motto of mine. I keep my expectations very, very low of people, just so that I don't have to get hurt.
Expect them to be people, but
right,
don't expect them to be anything other than what you see from them and what you've communicated that you need.
Right, exactly. All right, let's see. Red flag, red and green flag. Someone who constantly needs reassurance.
Red hot.
Why though, man? Why you can't just tell them folks, man? I love you, bro. Like that, you gotta tell sometimes they just want to know. No, I get it.
Constant. You are looking for somebody to feed something within you that you're supposed to be getting from yourself. Mm-hmm. Everybody else that's walking the earth is supposed to just be an enhancement to your life, an additive. You're asking them to give you something that you're supposed to have.
Right.
Now, we all like to be reassured because people love to pick apart what you're saying. The qualifying word here was constant. That is a red flag.
Right. Yep, I agree. I got you. Let's see. That's a red flag. I ain't going to go to that one. Someone who jokes during serious conversations.
You said I can't say yellow.
Can't say yellow. You know what? Let's add yellow in there.
Please.
We'll add yellow because I get it.
Everything depends.
Yeah.
Right? Because, so this is why I'm saying that with this. I think that we think, when we hear red flag, we automatically think terrible, oh no, run away.
Right.
But that's not always the case. Sometimes red flag just means hold on, stop, pay attention. Mm-hmm. And so somebody who's joking when there's something serious going on, maybe they do have difficulty processing negative emotions. That doesn't mean that you don't deal with them. That just may need some calling out. You know, that may be their way of coping in the moment. And then on the back end, they deal with it in a different way. And that's subjective. Who says it's serious? You know, it depends. I think a good, a good example of that is this whole thing that just happened with Kevin Hart's roast.
Yeah.
You know, it's very subjective. It's very subjective. Now, I have my own personal feelings about it, but I can't make people see it the way I see. We cannot make Kevin Hart see it the way we see it.
He see it the way he see it,
and people see comedy so many different ways. You know, we grew up in an era where people said what they said, and other people laughed, and you just dealt with it, or you got on the person who was laughing. But now there are certain things that you just cannot say. That's because things have changed. It's about subjectivity. So. You know, I don't think that that's necessarily a red flag.
Right. Yeah. And I'm trying to. I tried to look at it a few different ways when I watched the roast. Like, it's funny. I get it. I love comedy, so I get it. I get the sarcasm and all that. Then I'm like, whoa, hold on. Is this what they do in roast? Like, dang. Okay, this.
I'm glad that I watched it before I saw a lot of content about it, because then I could have my own thoughts about it. And I've seen roasts before.
Right.
I think that one though felt like the most egregious. It had the most egregious jokes that I've heard.
Yeah.
But again, now this is subjective. I've seen a couple of roasts. I'm not a connoisseur of comedy that way, but some of the jokes, I thought were funny. But I can also understand how people feel like when you said this, then everything else you said was no longer funny, because that's some bullshit. Mm-hmm. You're saying this, and that makes me think that the other stuff you said wasn't really a joke.
Right.
This is how you truly think and feel.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of people were coming from with some of that, but it's subjective.
It's subjective.
Right?
Now, the one thing, because if a racist is a racist, hey, that's what racists do. You know, that's what they do. So by the end of it, my only thing was, but damn, Kevin, he laughed through the whole thing. It didn't seem to bother him, and I also got that too. So but as time go on, I'm like, wait a minute. He when he said something about Stephen A. Smith, and then Stephen A. Smith just came out, and he didn't, he get roast, but he said when you said I'm a coon, right? So he said
ain't that pot Keller?
Right. He said there's three people, something about three people being racist. He said he called out two white people, and then he said Stephen A. Smith. That was the funny part, right? So Stephen A. Smith, he didn't go off on Kevin Hart. He really actually told him that, man, I still respected mine, but the fact that you would, call me out for being a coon, and he started naming all the things that he done for black people, and I mean, it just made sense. It's like, so even when Cat Williams said what he said about him, I'm like, I don't think he was joking. He's saying.
Cat Williams was not joking.
Yeah, no,
he got up there and said what he's been saying.
Exactly.
But here's my question: Kevin Hart has been Kevin Hart since, I can't even think of that last movie or show that he did, and you can there's a shift in his personality.
Yeah, exactly.
So he has been this Kevin Hart for quite some time. Why are people appalled?
Right.
What were you expecting? And if you knew anything about the comedians that were there, you knew what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So it's like me saying, well, I don't like to watch movies where there's a sexual assault, and I'm gonna go watch. I can't even remember the name of this movie now. I done put it out of my head, so it was such a horrible movie. I'm gonna go watch that.
Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah, you knew. Why would I go watch that movie? And I know
that movie.
I know what's gonna happen. So you know what type of content Kevin Hart has.
Yeah.
I don't watch podcasts. I do not watch no podcasts. If I see it, it's because somebody done sent me a clip or something.
That's all I want.
But typically, now there's one that I listen to from time to time. It's two black girls in Atlanta. They do true crime.
You and these.
I love it because it's human behavior. That's what I'm into, right?
Gotcha.
But like a lot of podcast content has become so
shallow,
very shallow, very misogynist, very incel, very red pill. I don't want to hear that. Just like I'm not gonna go listen to some racist podcast just to get myself inflamed for what?
Right.
Why are you watching Kevin Hart when you know who Kevin Hart is? You got to be prepared that something is going to be said that you don't want to hear. I'm not justifying that those particular jokes. They're the content of one particular joke that people are very upset about, and I get it. I found it distasteful. I didn't think it was funny.
Yeah.
But I wasn't, I wasn't like, oh.
Yeah. It did something to you, but you weren't.
Yeah, I was sitting there Googling as it was going, Googling who. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. We know what's bad. And I'm watching Regina's face the whole time. I already know what's up.
Man, I think she was a fill-in too. Like, it was supposed to be somebody else there, and they called her. So, and she wasn't. She was just.
You know what I thought? I made a post about it. I said, Regina said, I am here to support my friend in all his foolishness, and nobody better not say a fast thing to me.
That's what she said?
That's what I said she said.
Wow. You know what? I think
because that's what it looked like to me. And I could be wrong because I don't know them people.
Right.
But yeah, we just went off on a tangent.
Man, yeah, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. We're gonna try to speed it up. I know that's a red flag. You know what? Let's go ahead and go to the next game. So this one gonna be no. Let's do one more. Someone who posts every relationship. Someone who posts every relationship online.
They gonna say, I think everything a red flag.
I think most things are red flags nowadays. Yeah.
I mean, what's the intent?
Why do you think people do that?
I think a lot of people do it for the attention and the validation of their relationship. But a lot of people post their relationships because they're so happy and they're so full of joy that they want to share their joy. But here again, you using those qualifier words of every relationship. How many relationships you got and why you posting all of them? What is happening?
You ain't switched page. You ain't you got the same page posting 3 niggas.
They just take the last dude off, insert new dude. What you trying to prove here?
I seen it, and it's so underwhelming because I know these people. Like,
yeah.
Why would?
And baby, they like, hey, this is a part of my life. I post my life on social media. This my new nigga. He going up here.
It ain't real. It ain't real. I don't believe none of it. All right. So the next one is where we at? Trauma. So this is gonna be either trauma response or personality.
Ooh.
All right. So first one is Overachiever who never rests.
Trauma response.
Really? That's not a personality?
It can be, but more often than not, it's a trauma response.
Dang. Okay. Can you elaborate a little bit?
A lot of overachievers who never rest, it's all about not being in a position that you've been in before. I don't want to be dependent. I don't want to, I don't want to go without. I've been there before. I know what that looks like. I'm not going to let it happen to me. That's what majority of what I see. Now, you do have type A personalities that are that way, right?
Right.
But where did that come from if that is a part of their personality? People think that, the personality is what you're born with, but if you've had a kid, you know better, right?
So it ain't what you're born with.
No, your personality is molded and shaped. Of course, there are biological aspects of it, but what helps create it also is what you're environmentally exposed to and your experiences. That nature versus nurture is not, there is no versus. It is and.
It's right.
Right?
Okay.
Because if it was just and, then people who were psychopaths or sociopaths who have had children, so would their children be. If it was just environment, then everybody who was sexually abused or experienced violence in their childhood would also be that.
Right.
It's a combination of both.
You good.
Well, thank you.
You good. Avoiding conflict at all costs. Overachiever. Trauma response or personality.
Trauma response.
Okay, I get that one.
And again, same situation. A lot of times those people have been in conflict so much or been around it so much, they are avoidant to it, that they will have an avoidant attachment style. I don't want to be involved because I don't want to be in spaces where there's going to be a lot of conflict, and at all costs, I'm not going to be dealing with any of that.
Yeah.
But conflict has to happen. We have conflict when we go to the grocery store. You live in Memphis, you're going to have conflict several times a day.
Right. But somewhere where I know it's more likely, it's highly likely for this to happen, I just stay away from it.
That is a healthy response.
Okay.
If it's highly likely to happen and I'm not going to allow myself to constantly be in that, but if life is just happening and I am avoiding at all costs.
Right, at all costs, right.
Those qualifying words.
Right. You're a good listener too. You are.
And that's what I get paid to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's see. Being overly independent.
Overly independent
yeah.
is a trauma response. But that's very similar to the first one.
Yeah.
Right? I can't depend on someone else. I'm afraid to depend on someone else. When I've had to depend on someone else, they continuously let me down. The person or persons, my mom, my father, the ones I was supposed to be able to depend on, if they couldn't support me, didn't want me, didn't love me, nobody else will. That's usually what I see in those types of individuals.
But how can, if you didn't get love from your mama, and I see that's something I ain't gonna say I can relate to, but I can see from that perspective. Why would you even believe anybody else? Why would you think you're worthy of love when your own mama wouldn't love you?
Because the person who birthed you is simply a person. All of us don't get that, that thing that turns on the minute you feel something inside your body. We hope that all women do, but all women do not. Just like all women don't want to have children. Right? So that them not being able to do what a mother should is a defect of them, not of you.
But
it's a hard pill to swallow.
It's hard for most people to not think it's them when they see so many other people getting what they, get neglected of.
Yeah, it is very hard. And it's a hard process to work through, and it's an ongoing process because it's something that's in your face all the time. Right. Mother's Day, or you see other people with their children, or you get in a relationship with someone and they have a very good relationship with their mother and you don't have one, and you're like, well, why my mama didn't want me? What's wrong with me?
Right.
It was never you.
Right. Yeah.
This person was who they are. They were a defective mother. And so you have to that's one of those childhood trauma things that people have to continuously work through that this person who was supposed to didn't. I mean, but if we want to be, you know, I like how people want to make things completely rational, right? If we want to make this a completely rational discussion, the only reason she your mama is because she had sex.
That's it.
A lot of us did not come from planned births.
Most of us.
Right? So she didn't plan anyway, and then whoops, here you come, and she wasn't, you know, wired correctly or
we're all
whatever.
Mistakes, guys.
I mean, hey.
We're all mistakes.
Make it a happy mistake. That's up to you.
Yeah. Just know you was the reason why your mom and daddy had to have that talk. Like, all right, we gotta. Yeah, you messed some stuff up. Wow. Okay. Constant people pleasing.
Now you know.
Yeah. Trauma.
But you know, that actually could be a big personality thing. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be trauma, because some trauma is a very overused word. Now I do get that some people feel like, well, what is traumatic to me may not be traumatic to someone else. Something being traumatic to you is a little different than this being trauma in a clinical sense, right? So in that scenario, it definitely could be a personality thing, that, you know, in the environment in which you were raised, there was never anything traumatic that happened, but you were raised in a way that shaped your personality to need that constant reassurance, right?
Right. Okay.
You know, lots of people go through that, particularly depending on the type of parenting that they have. You know, and that depends on how you receive it, because, you know, as I say that, I think about this. You would think that a person who has an anxious attachment style never got the reassurance that they needed. So they're trying to get it from everybody that they can. Well, it really could have been the opposite. They could have had an avoidant type parent, or they could have had, you know, the parent that was just emotionally neglectful, and since they never got it, they're trying to get it. Or they had the parent who was a helicopter and was giving it, and since they're used to that, they're trying to get it. So it's just, you know, it's really, that's why human behavior is so interesting, because it's not cookie cutter. I could line 5 people up who had the same exact experience, and their brain is going to process it a different way. Therefore, they're going to behave a different way based on how they process it.
So, do you see more instances where if a person didn't get the attention, are they more likely to give it since they didn't give it, or they don't give it either?
I hate to keep saying that depends, but it depends. And a lot of it, there are a lot of things that are gender-based differences. Yeah. Right?
Because we are wired.
We are, you know, men are just wired different than women. A lot of stuff is very similar because humans are just similar, but there are some things that are different for men and women. Yes, due to biological wiring, but more because of environmental wiring. You know, we do something different with boys than we do with girls, and they come up different because of that.
Right. Okay. Laughing during painful conversation.
I think that may be more of a personality thing. Just what you know, what you've become more comfortable with. Because as I'm thinking, I can't think of many people that I've seen or have read about where the normalcy of laughing during painful situations, because that's a lot more normal than people think it is. That comes from trauma. It just comes from what you've been exposed to and how you've been taught to deal with things. And really, it's not that a lot of times it's not that they think that anything is funny. It's a response out of embarrassment or anxiety. It's an incongruent response, right? Because you think when somebody's embarrassed or they're uncomfortable, that they look embarrassed or uncomfortable, but it's a defense mechanism. Right.
So why would and I know this probably kind of off subject a little bit, and that was my last one, but why would a person, so if, let's say you know that you're easily offended by somebody checking you or something, why would you go and like to a comedy club and sit on the front row?
Now I don't know why you would do this. Seems to me like you might just be asking for it, or you think so much of yourself that you would not be called out. You know, there are lots of people who think very highly of themselves.
And don't think nobody else say nothing about them. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But if I were afraid of that, I most certainly would not sit in the front.
Right. Yeah. And if my girl got on something crazy, you gonna have to.
We gotta sit back here.
Yeah, you got to take that off.
But you sit up there and you know what type of comedian it is, like we just stated, right?
Yeah.
You know what you're looking for. So maybe you secretly want that. So maybe, there are lots of people who want to be offended.
Dang. Yeah. Right. Shit. Yeah. Now that I think about it, it's a lot of people that do. So does it mean that you're easily offended, or you're always being offended? You're just around people that just offend you all day. You just argue with people all day.
Well, maybe you are asking for that. Remember that qualifier again, right? How you keep getting in that situation.
Right.
We have to be able to hold ourselves accountable to things. How do I always keep finding myself in the same situation? Now, and I want to be clear, that doesn't mean that whoever is perpetrating those offensive things should, we just not gonna look at whatever they did. Mm-hmm. But if you keep, you always, you never, you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you attract what you are is a real thing, right?
Yeah. Even to the point of like social media, when I've had moments before, and I've told my husband, like, I am not feeling good mentally, and I get on here and I'm sick and tired of seeing this and this and this and this and this, and if I keep logging on, whose problem is it?
Yeah. Right.
I need to get offline.
Right.
I need to go look somewhere else. I need to find something else to do. But sometimes we do that to ourselves, and we're upset. But if I'm the one putting myself in that position, I don't want to be checked. I ain't got no business going sitting at the front row. If I don't want a comedian to be like, well, let me call your husband, and my husband ain't with me, I don't need to be sitting at the front row at Mojo Brooks.
Mojo.
What am I doing? Right?
He's hilarious. Yeah. Damn, you show, because I was supposed to be going to his show. I'm going to make sure I sit in the spot. Good dark spot.
Sit in the back.
Man. Go on, call him, man. Come on, I'm going to go, bro. I ain't got time for this. Goodness gracious, but I actually like sitting at the front. If I get called out, I get called out. That's why comedy is kind of like my thing. Mm-hmm. My genres are comedy and like thriller, because I like plot twists. Well, Doctor, I appreciate you coming through.
Thank you for having me.
It was my pleasure. I so appreciate it. Let the people know where they can find you, how they can get in contact with you, and how they can get your book.
You can find me everywhere that you can find social media, except for X. I don't do Twitter or X or whatever that thing is now. Mm-hmm. But if you put in Dr.NaRicia Futrell, you can find me on any of those platforms. If you put in my practice, Gihon, Gihon, Counseling Solutions, you can find me on any of those platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I have a YouTube channel as well, where I post a lot of my yoga content, because I am a yoga facilitator and meditation facilitator as well. You can find any of the ladies in my practice. I have a group practice, and I only hire the best, including my grief coach. She is an amazing, amazing woman. So yeah, you can find me there. And you can find my book, Red Flag Diaries, True Story Accounts, and Then Some, on Amazon and at Barnes & Noble. So, yeah.
Awesome. And you said you got one on you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How much is the book?
Well, since you just bring me here and I get all this free marketing, hello.
I so appreciate it. Got my copy. You did?
Yeah. And like I said, if you love it, please leave a review. Those of us who are authors or budding authors, the only way we get out there is when people talk about it. So if you love it, leave a review. If you don't, keep that shit to yourself.
I know this is right. Do you read your own book?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I had to.
Well, yeah. That's my bad.
I edited it.
I thought it was the same as like some people say they don't. I make music but I don't listen to it.
Oh no. I read my book, particularly this one, because I say this one because I'm working on some other stuff.
Right.
But what I wrote about is what I practice in therapy. So from time to time, if I have somebody who's coming in and they have some mommy issues or daddy issues or relationship issues, we're going to talk about attachment styles. You know, my couples, very, very heavy work in intimacy. So we talk about the 5 facets of intimacy. So yeah, I've got men who come in sometimes, and there's a really kind of heavy chapter in there. So trigger warning, there is some talk about suicide in there. But I have men sometimes who struggle talking about that, and I will refer them to the chapter in the book where a young man gave his story.
Right.
So yeah, no, I read my book and we talk about it, and sometimes my clients will find it and read it and be like, oh, I just read this. Oh, this your book.
You didn't see the back cover?
You ain't see my name on it?
Right, yeah. Quit acting, man. Oh, so people be acting, bro. Listen, man, you are a blessing to Memphis, especially like we don't even get hip to, any type of therapy or any type of information when it comes to therapy until we like get older. Because when you're younger, you don't think about stuff like this. But when you meet people and you actually like go through life, sometimes it's important. Because I was against it at one point. Like, why try to get anybody that's either a Caucasian or a woman? You're too far. You're on the other side of the fence. But I see that women can help you in some shape, form, or fashion. I'm just saying.
I see that women can.
I just think that I think that's just a piece of a man that I think only men would understand this part. Just this part.
No, that is absolutely valid, and I tell men that all the time. There are things that I know that are education based. There are things that I know that are experience based from the experience of a woman dealing with men in different areas, right? But I can never know what it's like to be a man. I'm not going to perpetrate like I can.
Right.
And if if you don't feel comfortable as a man seeing a woman, then see a man. If you don't feel comfortable as a woman seeing a woman, see who you are going to be comfortable with, because this person is helping you work through some of the hardest things in your life. We should never feel, I hate to tell people how to feel, right? But we should never feel, resentful or upset because someone doesn't choose us. I'm just not the person for you. Choose who's for you.
Right.
It's lots of us out there. BlackTherapistMatter.com. It's a whole, you want a black therapist? All across the United States and Europe, and she done picked up a whole nother continent. Hey, find who's good for you.
BlackTherapist.com.
Black Therapists Matter.
Matter.com. Okay, wow. Okay. Well, I appreciate you again. And it's been another episode of Universal Thought Podcast. Don't let this be the last time you're on.
No.
All right. Y'all have a good one, and we will see y'all on the next episode. All right. Appreciate that.
All right.